Hello everyone. After receiving a lot of tremendous response from Smart Study Techniques, I have come with a new topic, that is memory techniques. And thanks to everyone for your good response. And many people have requested, Madam, why don't you prepare memory techniques? So I am here with you to give more memory techniques for your studies point of view. To progress in any field in our life, we need to have trained memory. But there is no such thing like a good memory or bad memory. It is only the trained memory. With this trained memory, students can do better in their studies. They are able to learn and memorize their subjects better and make use of appropriate times as during the exams, even appearing for the job interviews and others also. So they will get good marks with the flying colors and even secure good jobs also. If you see the history, it is filled with many examples of people who have attained success because of their concentration and then memory. For any student to score good marks in their exams, it's important that they should have a trained memory. If you can recollect whatever you have studied while appearing for the exams, you can do wonders, you can score better marks. And most of the schools and colleges expect students to remember what they taught to them during the year. But one thing is most education institutions do not teach is how to remember what they taught. If you have trained memory, then you are able to recall all the information, all in right time, especially while appearing for the exams. So this way you will be able to score for better marks. So the first study techniques which I am going to teach you is today revision techniques, how we can revise. Let us see that. Let me tell you, the most important technique of memory is revision techniques. Many students complain that as the time passes, they do not remember everything. This is probably because they do not know the technique for studying properly. Although they have solved some of few problems few days ago, when it is asked in the exam, they forget some steps in solving the problem because of some kind of problems. Why it is happening? Let me tell you, when we study a subject, we understand it properly and remember it well. There is no benefit in studying without revision. When we study, when we prepare for a subject, the information is stored as a short-term memory only, not long-term. It is not a surprise if one forgets this after some times. The only solution to this problem is proper revision. But first let us understand about forgetting. How much do we forget? So the most of the students' information is forgotten in the first 24 hours, or memory loss is highest in the first 24 hours. After 24 hours of reading, we remember very little of it. That is why the first revision must be within the first 24 hours. And how we have to revise? Let me tell you, most students have a wrong impression that revision means to reread what has been studied earlier, but read again is rereading, not revision. Revision means to visualize again the information already stored in our mind. To revise well, we do not need to textbook or some other notes. We only need to do is close our eyes and visualize all the details that have been previously studied. Normally, if we revise something 4 or 5 minutes, it gets converted into long-term memory, you know. So this part of memory is stored in that area where our own name and personal numbers, address and everything is stored. That is why it is necessary to regularly revise things at appropriate intervals. If you see the following table, this will be helpful for you how to revise and then when to revise, how much time is to be allocated. For the first time, you know, after 1 hour you have to revise and you have to spend 5 to 10 minutes. Second time, next day you have to revise, spend 15 to 20 minutes. Third time, every Sunday, whatever you have studied for the entire week. So duration you can keep 2 to 4 hours. Fourth time is last day of month, every month, last day, 8 to 12 hours you have to spend. And fifth time, previous day of the exam, that is at least 2 to 3 hours. I shall again emphasize you that we are trying to revise, not reread. Whenever we wish to revise something, We must sit with and the related material. Now close your eyes and take a deep breath. Then instead of reading, try to visualize the content. Only those points you do not remember need not to be read again. Finally, make a mental picture of all the points. So if you do this, definitely your memory will be improving a lot. You can revise the techniques, and whatever you have studied, you will never forget in your life. So hope this memory technique of this revision is useful for you. So let's go for the next technique. In memory techniques, break technique is very important technique. So let me tell you how we can use this break technique. I want to give an example that memory is compared with a computer. If we prepare a file in a computer and do not save it, that file will disappear. Most of us make similar error in our studies also. We read the subject but do not save it in our mind's hard disk. At the end of the day, the body needs rest and we go to sleep. When we read something, the information is stored in a definite place in the brain. Now you are watching this video. Now this time also the brain is more active and it is compared with the other sections. After being active for about 1 hour, this part of the brain gets tired and needs a rest. We save information on the computer by stopping inputs and pressing the save command. Our mind is also needs similar breaks from the inward traffic to save the information. Our mind remembers new information and stores it well only if it is blended or associated with other information already stored. Now if you see, new information is to be extended also disturbs the total nervous system. So when a short break of approximately 10 minutes is taken, then the new information is better absorbed in the mind. Also the tired part of the mind gets refreshed, energized and reactivated. So the purpose of the short breaks is to give rest to the mind. Because of this break, what has been read for the last 1 hour is easily observed and retained in the memory. How we can take break? Let me tell you. If suppose you have been reading since 1 hour, take a break, get up and walk around. This physical activity improves blood circulation in the brain and refreshes the mind. Increase the blood circulation and supplies more oxygen to the brain so that you will become more active for the coming part. Then take a few deep breaths, drink some water and then sit to study again. Try to recall what you have read in the past previous 1 hour. And if you have been reading since 3 to 4 hours at a stretch, then take a break of 10 minutes at least. So during this 10 minutes what you can do? The same activity, whatever I told you in the previous one. So take a walk and then drink water and relax a little bit sometime, isn't it? So this will be useful. Repeat the same process. Walk around, take a deep breaths also, and if possible you can take some fluids, some juices or something else. Then sit once again for the studies. So if you do this, definitely you will get once again recharged for the next coming hours. So this is the break technique. Let's go for the another technique. The next memory technique which I am going to say is audio tape technique, which is very important. Most of the students do not know this technique. You know that prevention is better than cure. We must have heard this saying not once but many times and are probably convinced of its correctness also. The question here is, have you even particularly tried to use this or practice this? I have seen countless students who, although had prepared well for the exams during the year, did not score well and had to repeat the exam next year. What are the reasons? The main reason is the student fell ill sometimes prior to the exam, had a quarrel or argument with a family member or friend and lost the desire to study, or examination phobia, unable to revise in time, or the marriage of brother, sister or somebody's just before exams. Such kind of lot of reasons are there. So in such events could become problematic for every student for the examination point of view. But if you record on audio tapes all the data you need to know and or remember in your voice, it could be very beneficial. You may revise the subject any time later by listening to the audio tapes. You may get bored of reading but not listening to your voice. So that is why always record it. How you have to record this audio tapes? First of all, let me tell you, make a separate cassettes for each subject. From the first subject that you wish to convert into audio cassettes, separate the different questions or points that you find hard to understand or remember. Then when you are alone, record it without anybody and disturbing you. Insert a blank cassette in your tape record. Nowadays you need not to go for cassettes and all these things. In cell phone itself only you can record it a lot of information. The smartphones also available, make use of it. Then start recording and read the questions and the respective answers also. Keep the mic at least 5 to 8 centimeters, that is 2 to 3 inches away from the mouth while reading. In this manner, prepare cassettes for each subject, label each properly and keep them handy. How to use this audio cassettes? You can use this audio cassettes in many ways. The first thing is while eating, walking, traveling, relaxing or at work. Find some time. Put the cassette or put the recording thing and revise it, and without using earphones also you can hear it. If you have cold, fever, conjunctivitis, or you are not well, you are feeling difficult to read, in those days also you can just hear your voice, then recollect the subject. And if a student records question, answers, spelling, etc. of different languages and hears them repeatedly 5 to 7 minutes, then they'll never forget in the content forever in their life. Grammatically some rules and then meanings, dates, events, precis, formula and sentence from poems. This also you can record it in your own voice. And in this way the information becomes interesting and easy to remember. So the main underlying principle is that language is a part of the conscious mind. When we read or hear anything, our conscious mind is active. That is why the details and information is stored in the short-term memory. But when we hear our own voice, our mind accepts it without any reservation. So this formulation or this kind of information is now stored in our memory in long-term memory. So hope this technique is useful for you. You'll follow it. Next technique which I want to tell you, group study techniques. Many of you do these group study techniques, but systematic group study techniques will give you a good result. Group study is definitely a good method to understand subject and their details. From my experience, I have learned that I have explained some topic to my friend and I remembered it well for a long time and can also recall it easily. You might have had a similar experience. In short, if you teach or explain something that you have studied to someone else, it is called a group study. This method is like this. Make a group of 4 or 5 persons. Take a subject to study. Find out how many lessons are there in it. Divide these lessons among the group. Ask each one to prepare the subject in depth using the appropriate memory techniques from this video, including preparing memory charts and all these things. Meet regularly and fixed intervals, and each member will teach his part to all the members of the group. Encourage questions and discussions on this. The same kind of technique can be used even by the companies, like multinational companies are using these techniques to enlighten their staff. Those executives participate in the training program were divided into 4 groups and different study material was provided to each group. They'll be discussing, they'll be sharing their views with each other. So in this way even MNCs is also using this group study techniques. Now a discussion was encouraged between the 4 groups. In the end it was found that all the study material was different for each group. After this discussion, each group was fairly familiar and knowledgeable about the other topics as well. All the four groups knew almost everything and the four subjects. Means each group is taking one subject. In that way, four groups together can be thorough in four subjects. Using this technique, an average student can also score well in the exams. And everyone knows that the professor or teacher is teaching a lot, but a student is teaching to student, it will give you good result. So that is why group study technique, systematically if you do it, definitely you will get the good result. The next technique which I am going to say, that's highlighter techniques. Highlighter, it is available in market in different colors. So this technique can be used in many situations by many students while studying. This can be used to remember main points, formula, synopsis and meanings, etc. While reading any book, if you come across a difficult phrase or paragraph, it can also be highlighted for future reference. Having used a highlighter to draw attention to these points or sentences, you will later realize that you find it easy to revise these also. You can therefore revise just the highlighted sentences repeatedly and remember them. You need not read the entire page or lesson every time. When you see the highlighter words, you can just recollect what it is. And read slowly and calmly the entire passage or lesson. Understand it first, and then during the second reading, use the highlighter pen wherever required. The main colors used are orange, yellow and green. Now repeatedly revise the highlighter points. Those sentences that have been highlighted will be noticed quickly and will be imprinted in your visual memory. As such, your visual memory is pretty sharp. That is why by using the highlighter technique, it is easy to remember. To avoid reading the entire lesson or passage, you can use certain signs or symbols like circles and then dots, underlining and keeping in the brackets. Such kind of symbols you can use, so that during the revision you find it easy to understand and remember the lesson also. So hope you'll use this highlighter technique. The next technique which I am going to explain is pocket diary technique. A pocket diary is a notebook that fits into our pocket. The use of this technique simplifies our study to a great extent. Revision becomes less time consuming and our self-confidence increases. When we sit to study, the main points are written in the study material. So the main points of any question answers in a lesson are to be jotted down in the pocket diary. A pocket diary is a storehouse in which the answers of the questions, the main points and the keywords are noted. By doing this, you do not have to read the entire lesson again. Instead, you can easily revise everything in a few minutes. It's easy to make a diary. So how you have to make a pocket diaries? First step is that get a small diary that fits into your pocket. And second step is write the name and number of the lesson. Then write the question. Then third step, having written the question and read the answer, write down the main key points and keywords in the diary. These notes should be brief. When you read the pocket diary, you will recollect the complete answer. And according to my experience, a pocket diary plays a crucial role during examinations. This is because on the last day it is difficult to revise the entire subject. By using a pocket diary, you can easily revise the entire content in a short time, and also you will do well in the exam. So use this pocket diary technique. The next technique, acronymic technique. So this is very old and well-known method. It happens often that we do not remember important or relevant points. In such situations, this technique can be used effectively. In many schools and classes, paragraphs, captions, prefaces, elements of science and main points are taught by using this basic technique only. So how do we use this? First step is that read the matter carefully 3 times. Then find the keywords. After that, select the first alphabet of the keywords. After that, join these alphabets to make an acronym and repeat many times. Repeat this in such a way that you can recall it easily. As you know, when we were young, we remember the color of rainbow as VIBGYOR. So as I have said, V means violet, I indigo, B blue, G green, Y yellow, O orange, R red. So like this we can remember a lot of points, big points and tough points where you need to remember. So this is useful. Using this method, many things can be remembered, because once you have made an acronym, you merely have to expand it for better recall. It is not necessary to use only for the first letter to make an acronym. You may use any letter that fits well into the making of an acronym. So you can also take any word from the theme and make the sentence. So use this technique, it is also useful. Hope you have followed all the study techniques, that is memory techniques. Lastly, I would say, before you open your book for studies, open your mind book. So when you open your mind book, you will work well. Do not allow anything to distract you from your studies. Preparation is the main key factor for any kind of success. So proper preparation prevents poor performance, you know it very well. And for getting success in education or career, time management is highly essential. If time is handled with intelligence and caution, it can be your best friend. Some people talk about luck and all these things. I would say hard work is 90%, luck is 10% only. So put your efforts, love your subject, walk towards your desires, run towards your goals, fly towards your dream, and may all your fantastic dreams will come true. So good luck, share your views, keep in touch. All the best.